Okay, we're on a new Masechta, Masechet Shekalim. Let's see if you find it. Masechet Shekalim, Perek Aleph, Mishnah Aleph. In order to start this Mishnah, the Masechta, first let's just take a look at the Sukkim that describe the mitzvah of what is of the Masechet Shekalim deals primarily with the mitzvah of Machatzit Hashekel. So you might be familiar with this because it's the beginning of Parshat Tisa, and it's also read in something called Parshat Shekalim. What do we read? Where Hashem says, when you count the Jewish people according to their numbers, each person should give kofar nafsho, the atonement for his life. When you count them, and they won't be destroyed, there won't be a plague when you count them. Remember, you're not allowed, according to the Torah, it's prohibited to actually count people by number. You only count them by the Machatzit Hashekel, by something representing them. This is what each one should give. Machatzit Hashekel b'shekel hakodesh. They should give a half shekel. Esrim geira shekel. Each shekel is 20 geira. I don't know what that is. Machatzit Hashekel truma laHashem. Okay, it's a Machatzit Hashekel, and we know kol ha'over l'pkudim miben 20 shana v'mala yitain trumat Hashem. Anyone 20 years of older, that's over, that's counted. Ha'ashir lo yarbeh, v'hadar lo yamit. The rich can't give more, and the poor can't give less. I mean, each person has to give for himself. Okay, what do you do with this money? You take the money of this atonement from the Jewish people. You use it for the avodah. So this is what it's used for. It's used for the korbanot. So the Kahati points out as an introduction, it's interesting and important to know that this wasn't just a one-time thing, but rather was a mitzvah, the Dorot. Every year, the Jewish people have to give this Machatzit Hashekel. Why? For Avodat Ol Moed. It has to be done for the Avodat Ol Moed. And this is what our Mishnah, this is what our Masechta is going to discuss. So the first Masechta discussion is, when do they do that? It says the Mishnah, Be'echad be'adar mashmi'im al hashkalim. On the first of Adar, mashmi'im, they send out the announcements for the donations of shkalim. Ve'al hakla'im, they also make an announcement that a person has to get rid of the seeds that are growing in their fields. For example, they have a wheat field and they have other kinds of things growing, or they have, let's say, for example, a vineyard, and they have some kind of grain growing in the vineyard. They have to get rid of it. They have to be mema'et. They have to get rid of it before it grows. So they tell them that be'echad be'adar, on the first of Adar, Hashmiyan amar l'shkalim. What does that mean? Beitin shochin b'chol arei Yisrael. They send out in all the cities. Umachrizim, they announce she'aviu shikleim, that they should bring their shekel. Why? Because in the new year begins in the first of Nisan, that they have to start bringing from a new donation. Dichtiv, it says, Zot olat chodesh bechodsho lechatshei hashana. This is the olah of the chodesh, of the month, in its month, for the months of the year. Chadesh v'havei. So when they learn this out, chodesh bechodsho, chadesh, renew, reinvigorate, and bring korban mitruma chadasha. Bring a korban from a new truma. So we learn out that that means when they start a new year, they have to bring from a new donation. They would take the new money and they would use it for the korbanot of the new year. So therefore, on the first of Adar, they would announce that we need the donations. Okay, everybody, let's go. Time to make the donations for the shkalim, which is also why the first parsha that we read before Purim, the 2 weeks before and the 2 weeks after, first is parshat shkalim. When is it read? Right around Rosh Chodesh Adar. So it's interesting that we still fulfill the mitzvah that was brought down all the way in the times of the Mishnah. On the 15th day of Adar. We're talking about Adar. Korinta Megillah B'Krachim. They read the Megillah on the 15th in the walled cities. And what else do? Umetaknim et hadrachim. They fix the roads. Ve'et ha'rechovot. And also the streets. Ve'et mikvaot hamayim. And also the water cisterns. I'm pretty sure, because remember they had to get ready for the Korban Pesach, so they have to clean them up. Okay, let's look at how do they fix them. The Bartunura says, if they're too muddy, you clean them. If they became less than the shiur of 40 sa'ah, you can pour in pourable water. You can, as long as there's a majority of 40 sa'ah, 20 point whatever sa'ah, measurement of water, you can pour in the rest. Mayim she'uvi are drawn water, which is pasul for a mikvah. But if you have im ha'isham rova aba'im sa'ah min kasher, if you already still have, let's say you have 30 sa'ah left, you can pour in 10 more sa'ah, and the mayim and the mei ma'ayan and the well water that's kosher, the kosher water for a mikvah, is overwhelms the water that you poured in, and then it's still a kosher mikvah. So you have to fix the mikvah. And you do all the things that are necessary for the rabbim. It's interesting what the Bartenura says. Fascinating. He says, Dinei mamonot, dinei nefashot, monetary cases, capital cases, makot, giving lashes, tiyat arachim mecharamim makdeshot. The Beit Din had to redeem people that made their things hegdish by saying erko alai erchin or make cherem and hegdish. Hashka'at sota, you would give the sota to drink. Usreifat para. All of these things. So interesting, okay, that all these things, they would do all these things starting from the 15th day of Adar. I guess one gets the sense that, why would they do this in the 15th day of Adar? Why wouldn't they do it beforehand? One gets the sense that the whole winter long, they were just, people were busy in their houses, doing the work in the fields. So now, from the 15th, people are going to be Ola L'Regel. And the way they didn't have the long gravestones like they have today. The way they would designate graves is they would put lime around it. They would just mark the grave, and over the winter when the rains would come, then the marks would wither away, they would melt away. So they would then mark the grave, so somebody coming on the road to be Ola L'Regel wouldn't accidentally walk over a grave and become Tameh. V'yotzim af ala kla'im. And even the 15th, yotzim af ala kla'im. What does that mean? Yotzim shluchei Beit Din, representative of the Beit Din, would go, even though they said, they said, get rid of your kla'im, that wasn't enough. Maybe people didn't listen. The Beit Din sent representatives, public works officials, and they went into the fields and would get rid of the kla'im. Next Mishnah is going to continue with this discussion of what happened when the Beit Din would get rid of the kla'im. How did the people react to that? We'll stop here. We'll dedicate our learning to the memory of my father, Rav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. And I also want to dedicate our learning for this Masechta, this month, to the woman named Sipora Fega Matilda bat Nachum Elimelech, who was a Holocaust survivor, who emigrated to Israel and built a family. Her daughter is a co-worker of mine in Orot Yisrael, and she seemed to have been a very special, wonderful woman, and it's an honor to learn in her memory. Have a great day.